The soldier who didn't know World War II had ended narration. Imagine being told to complete a mission and then spending the next 29 years doing it, without ever realizing the war had already ended. This sounds like a movie plot, but it actually happened. The man's name was Hiroo Onoda, and his story is one of the most unbelievable survival stories in human history. In December 1944, during World War II, Onoda was sent to a small island in the Philippines called Lubang Island. He was a young intelligence officer in the Japanese army. Before leaving, his commander gave him a strict order: do not surrender, do not take your own life. No matter what happens, we will come back for you. To most soldiers, those words might sound inspiring, but for Onoda, they became a mission that would control the next 3 decades of his life. A few months later, World War II ended. Japan surrendered in August 1945 after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The war was over. Millions of soldiers went home, but Onoda didn't. Hidden deep in the jungle, he and a few other soldiers continued fighting. Soon leaflets were dropped from airplanes telling them the war had ended. But Onoda believed they were enemy propaganda. More leaflets followed. Newspapers were dropped. Letters from family members arrived. Even photographs were shown. Still, he refused to believe any of it. In his mind, the mission was still active. Years passed. One by one, the other soldiers either surrendered or died. Yet Onoda remained. He survived by hunting animals, stealing food from local farms, and living entirely off the land. The jungle became his home. Every strange sound could be an enemy. Every airplane overhead could mean a new battle. Imagine waking up every morning for decades believing the war was still happening. While the rest of humanity was inventing computers, landing on the moon, and building modern cities, Onoda was still hiding in the forest. The 1950s passed, then the 1960s, then the early 1970s. Nearly 30 years had gone by. Back in Japan, many people assumed he was dead. His story became a mystery. Then in 1974, a young adventurer named Norio Suzuki traveled to the Philippines. He had an unusual goal. He reportedly said he wanted to find 3 things: Onoda, a panda, and the abominable snowman. Amazingly, he found Onoda first. When Suzuki met him in the jungle, Onoda was friendly but stubborn. He still refused to surrender. He said he would only lay down his weapons if his commanding officer personally ordered him to do so, so Japanese authorities searched for the officer who had given him orders decades earlier. Remarkably, they found him. The former commander traveled to the Philippines. Standing in the jungle, almost 30 years after the war ended, he officially relieved Onoda of duty. Only then did Onoda finally surrender. He walked out of the jungle wearing a worn military uniform and carrying his rifle. The world was stunned. A man had spent nearly 3 decades fighting a war that no longer existed. When he returned to Japan, he discovered a completely different world. Television had transformed society. Technology had advanced dramatically. Entire generations had grown up while he was isolated in the jungle. Some people viewed him as a hero. Others saw him as a tragic example of blind obedience. But regardless of opinion, his story remains unforgettable. It shows the incredible power of belief. A single order, followed without question, shaped nearly half of a man's life. And it leaves us with a fascinating question. If you had spent years convinced that everyone else was lying to you, would you have believed the war was over? Or would you have stayed in the jungle too? If you enjoyed this incredible true story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We share amazing true stories from around the world every week, and you won't want to miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next story. End.